Welcome back. Now let's get the show on the road. And let me start by wishing you Baraka de Salah to start with. And that's maybe because I want to bribe you, because my first question is coming to you.
That's wondering.
Yes, in the course of this week, no, last.
Yeah, we're still in the same week.
Yes. 17 governors gathered and came to an agreement, what is now referred to as the Asaba Accord. And they came out with a 10-point agenda. Now, what are your thoughts about that meeting and the outcome thereof?
Well, to start with, I think there's a strict language called "the town is not smiling, you ran," which means things are extremely, very, very bad, worrisome, and of course, everywhere we are all on edge. And the significance of the meeting of these Southern governments is, to me, to give a relief. I mean, a soothing power. So let's wait a while. We are still on call. Let us see what we can do. But beyond that, all those the outcomes to me should have been done. Will have seen been manifested most in their states. Look,
so you are
example,
aligning with what the Senate President said. Restructure
that's
your
really for
states
me,
first.
As a journalist, I look at it from the bigger prison. It's not different from what we have been reporting every now and then. Open grazing is what we have been reporting on, isn't it? Autonomy of the government, we have been but the reality is that in their states, were they ready for autonomy of local government? Are they ready for autonomy of the judiciary? These are critical issues. So there's no point for me playing to the gallery. But I said there is a soothing balm because at that point, we just need something refreshing to keep everybody down. Because then, don't worry, there's still hope in this country. And that's what I believe, there's still hope in this country if we're sensible enough to take the right route. Ekiti has done, coming up with something, to show that yes, that open grazing is real. But we have heard about fashionable farm in those in the Western Nigeria. So what happened to your state government from taking that college, reviving that fashionable farm, where we have real ranching? So what is stopping him from doing that? So if your colleague Nikiti has done that, so what about other governments? Are they also going to do that? So they've now I think they've given themselves a marching order of what they're really going to do. And let us see how they're going to do it from their own states first, before it resonates into the national level.
Well,
and so that's why quite a lot of people will take them extremely seriously. But,
and wait to see.
I mean, obviously, they've done a nice thing, coming together for the first time. And then
but there are those who also say that that's not the first time they are coming together. Only they don't do it as frequently as the northern governors. However, let me come to you, Mr. Nwoko. The open grazing was one of the things they talked about. It's not the only thing they talked about. They talked about restructuring. They talked about, which of course has been generating a lot of interest from other people as well. But the open grazing thing, actually started with the northern governors themselves saying, come on, it's outdated. It's out of fashion. It's no longer sustainable, But the question then is, if we all agree that open grazing has been an issue, all 36 governors agree that it has been an issue, should we still be talking about it as opposed to doing something about it?
That's a leadership gap. Let me just chip this in, that I think that the meeting in the first place was laudable. It was a bold step in the right direction, though belated. What was lacking in all the 36 state governors agreeing was what I said to somebody yesterday: lack of the ingredients of discussion, lack of the major two ingredients that you find from those who, the protagonists of democracy that we copy. We copied our democracy. Where we copied from, we left something behind. Those two things I talked about yesterday somewhere is negotiation and compromise in any organization, in any relationship, in any setup, where you do not have people understand the relevance of negotiation and compromise. It never works. So what is lacking when 36 people agree and all that? It's just leadership. Leadership that we say, okay, if we agree, how do we execute it? You have to give it. You have to give. If I have a relationship with an Antelera, I must give, she must give for that relationship to be able to sustain that relationship. We have a relationship that is organized within 36 states. This nation is well endowed. Each state has stuff to bring to the table. So I have always said that I don't care who is the president of this country. I don't care who is the governor of my state. What I care about is that this governor or this president who aspire to provide leadership cannot emulate things that are going on elsewhere and bring it to the table. If he cannot provide for me, or rather, if he can provide for me, why do I need to agitate? The issue of insecurity, think about it. Because here a lot of times, I watch your program and other programs, those who crafted our current 1999 constitution are being castigated. But inside that constitution, you have a provision where governors are endowed with millions of naira for security. Am I right? If they had the wisdom to know that many years ago that there was issue of insecurity, that financial provision have to be made for you, it behoves on you to now always find out what the security situation is in your state and use that money to provide solution. Do you understand what I'm saying? Now, if a state like Ondo State or Lagos State or your state, Delta State, River State, the governors receive allocation for security votes, have they at any time in the past or going forward contracted people to do a report on the situation of insecurity in their state? If they have, can we locate those reports and find out what is contained in those reports? You can find, at least in these states that I mentioned and more states, you can find such reports on the internet. One of the things you will find in those reports, before you even do, I can tell you what you can find inside those reports, is the fact that the cost of insecurity in our country, in our different states, is basically instigated by elites, politicians, and headsmen. So it's high time that these governors who agree that open grazing is outdated, that is no longer fashionable, for them to provide the necessary leadership by providing an alternative, by copying what is going on outside, by allowing us to have peace, by restraining themselves from some of the things that they say. Because the cause of the problem we have in this country, it's not because me and you or any Hausa man or any Igbo man or Yoruba man is fighting. It's because of the things that we're saying. This present government, before they were seeking power so much, that if you listen to what Lai Mohammed, as the head of the information for APC, was saying, and the things they are still saying, they constantly on a daily basis setting the country on fire. By what? By what they say. By the things that they are saying, nothing is going on. Nobody is fighting, there's no war, but constantly they are warring and voicing and saying things that should never be said in a place where you want to make progress. This president, our current president, go back in time and check all the things that he was saying against the former government. Now, I'm not saying that he's guilty. I'm just saying that all of us are guilty, that we need to restrain ourselves.
But there are some things that, you know, going back to the documents that you mentioned, you know, perhaps one would also decrypt the fact that if you even do a simple Google search right now, right this moment, and I've said this a few times, a simple Google search, causes of insecurity in Nigeria.
You will see it.
One of the top 3 you will find is unemployment. One of the top 3 you will find is
still the same thing that I said to you. If they give you money every month or yearly, I don't know when the frequency of this money or the currency of this money they give to you, right? I just mentioned 2 that I'm not a security expert, but from on top of my head, this unemployment, is this not the same elites that are causing it? You go to a place, you take people's land. You go to a place, you recruit people to work for you. When I say elites, that they are the cause of the problem, am I saying that they are the ones in the street? No. They are recruiting these guys that are causing this problem. Because you need to understand that this unemployment that you mentioned is not just the youth that are unemployed. These politicians who have served before, that are no longer in the corridors of power. They are unemployed. And they are too lazy to work because Nigeria's money is very sweet. Maybe you don't know. You are actually laughing. Maybe I should join you.
It's funny when you see politicians who were...
Now, if you were a former House of Assembly member in 1999, or like my relation, Ned Nwoko, who used to be in the House of Representatives, he just served one term. Now all of you call him honorable. What does he do for a living?
See,
so the point here, on this unemployment, you need to understand, it's not that there are youths that are unemployed. The people who are unemployed, who are causing this problem, are those at every time. When they are not in the corridors of power, they are not governors, they are not president, they are not governors, they are not ministers, they are not in the House of Representatives. Have you asked yourself what they do? Have you ever sat down to analyze it? You don't need a television to analyze. Just sit down in your house and analyze. What is their job? Have they been able to go back to their former profession? The answer is no, because it's not as rewarding as where they were before. The political positions where they... Because Nigeria's money is very sweet when you get it for free. When it's allocated to you. When money is paid into your account for not doing anything. Why do you want to go and work?
Kazim, let's quickly look at one of the issues that he raised about the governors.
Yes.
The governors have also screamed that their hands are tied, that they're chief security officers only in name, because they have no control over the security apparatus on ground in their various states.
Well, obviously, that's just another excuse. In leadership, there are two things that you need. You need truth and you need efficiency. Truth is that the reality on ground is telling you that this is what you need to do. So how well are you going to do it for the benefit of the people? That's area of efficiency. Lagos has a master plan, for example. And over the years, that's why you see the tangential progress in Lagos. You can't compare it with other parts of the country. Because there's a focus of where we are going. And then the recruitment leadership, people could question it. But it has also produced somebody that you can say can follow that blueprint. Now you have before your 5-year plan, agricultural plan, right? You also have so many other spaces that have been opened for the economy, right? And these have been coming over the years, even since 1999. You have had all these things coming, back and forth. They are almost getting it right, and you can see an element of efficiency. I didn't say all. You can see it; it's visible. But how do you now concretize on this? That is the issue. So Lagos will remain a center of attraction for everyone. So in terms of employment, it's not that we don't want to be employed. There are so many things you can do in Lagos because the environments have been created for everyone to excel. Does this happen in other parts of the country? That is the big question we need to ask ourselves. So
I'm sorry,
yes.
Dr. Aklezi, to button, but while that is a given,
yes.
So if we are saying that it is possible for the states at their various levels to galvanize employment opportunities, at least create the enabling environment for employment to be created by micro, small, and medium enterprises, do we need the federal government to get the states to do the same thing? Because you would recall that, it's all over the place. Yeah. Just how many weeks ago we were hearing that in Yobe State, the terrorists, insurgents were recruiting the young people for just 20,000 naira apiece. So, and this is what happened even while at the time the Chibok girls were abducted. The same way of enticing people, we are luring people with money to recruit them into all these acts that we see. So, do the states need the federal government to galvanize employment in their states?
You don't need it. That's what I've tried to give an example of Lagos State, for example, because this is what I've been leading for a while, and I have the opportunity of also working with the leadership. And in all parts of this country, people desire what they want, the type of employment you want. You want to say, okay, I want to be a banker. Nobody who have chosen in this country wants to be a farmer, right? And it's extremely lucrative. And being a farmer, 20,000 naira does not mean anything to you. Because once the harvest comes, when the bumper comes, you are going to smile to the bank. But the reality of how to get there is another entirely, because we are not promoting, we are not making it quite enticing to the younger ones. And that is where we have the problem. And the value chain of agriculture is enormous to create employment.
That is the question that I want to...
But people don't want to go there.
That's the question that I want to piggyback on.
Yes.
Earlier, I think before we came on air, even while we were on air, Alera was talking about the fact that there are things in this country that we produce, but rather than, expand the effects, create a large production line for them, we export the raw materials, and we buy back at very exorbitant prices the byproducts, so to speak. We export cocoa for chocolate, we export wood for furniture, we export leather. She was just telling me that leather bags that our people buy from Italy and all of that, that the leather used are taken from Nigeria.
Absolutely.
So, do we need the federal government to facilitate the enabling environment for that?
Let each state governor put his thinking cap on how to solve the problem that is immediate to him. It's as simple as that. So you do not just generalize the problems, and that's why I'm trying to do the analysis. If you take insecurity, for example, Lagos come with an idea of neighborhood watch, and it has been able to contain insecurity within the neighborhood. And so, why do you now want Lagos to come and join you with our Amateku?
How much?
I mean, so do you still need that? When you have a system, obviously they can see that it's working. And what do they do for that neighborhood? They even provide bicycles for them. That makes them it's unique to that environment. So that if you also want to tap, there's something happening in that neighborhood. You don't need to take a 4-wheel car there or a jeep there, or with a bicycle. You raise in there and you are equipped with all the gadgets. Then you can contact, RRS or other people. They can then come around and solve the problem. So that is one aspect of it. When I say you have efficiency, you can see if you create an avenue for people to see reality of life, they can now move and say, yes, let us see what we are going to build on. But in as much as we are getting cheap money, every month, either either it is or you're going to get money. But in 1 month, where you can't get that, and you have to think outside the box how you're going to get that money to pay your salaries, there's something that tells you that, no, the days of free money is going to go forever. For example, another example, how does Lagos still survive without local government money during 1999, during the Obasanjo years? It takes somebody who is quite efficient, who is also thinking to see how to solve that problem at that time. So why can't people borrow from that? It's a good initiative, but that initiative, you're also criticizing that it's not the best. But at that time, that is what works for that particular that government. And was able to, live up to the expectation of the people at the right time. For all of us, we want to get it right.
But Kwasim,
yes.
you have spoken about the neighborhood watch. How successful has this been? Because in the last 2 to 3 weeks, there have been plenty of at least radio programs, television programs about traffic robbery in Lagos. So how successful do you think this neighborhood watch has been?
Maybe we should allow him to take that response
after this
break.
Yes.
Joining us. So you wanted to answer that question about Lagos.
Yeah, I said Lagos. Yeah, was pointing that is neighborhood watch.
Is it working? Yes.
Because of robbery and all that. In a mega city, you cannot rule that one out. No, let's be fair. But the reality is that this neighborhood watch people, do you keep them solely towards the night? No, you don't. Go and watch it very well. By 6, they'll fade away. You won't see them again. Or maybe by 4. See, they're also working as a civil servant. No. So Lagos will have to redefine their role. That look, you guys, you are going to work 24 hours henceforth, and this is what we are going to do for you, to ensure that here you keep, the city safe.
Okay.
So as to complement the existing in order like the police. That's exactly how it's going to work.
Okay,
and I'm sure they know where the hot spots are.
They do. That's what they are looking at. That's what they are local, what do you call them? Security agencies.
Let me ask you, Mr. Woko, There's a question here by Isiaka. Says, the big question we should attend to is the armed bandits. How did they get their arms and ammunition?
Tell Mr. Isiaka that there are merchants, conflict merchants everywhere.
Say that again.
There are conflict merchants everywhere. So these sellers who want to sell are looking out for a country like Nigeria. It's a very interesting question that he asked. And I think we better deal with it comprehensively. Now, you need to understand the rules of weapon business. Do you understand? And you also need to understand the role that war plays in their mind and all that. And those who claim to be journalists or politicians and all that, it's very important. It's not just bandits. The stock, the local stock business, stock market. Do you understand? How cheap is it? How cheap is South Korea stock prices? And the role that everybody is playing, our journalists, what role are they playing? Who is giving them? If you pick up a newspaper or you're watching television and you're reading business reports, it's a very, very important question. So, within the country, they're looking out for conflict merchants, entrepreneurs whose business is to cause conflict and speak all these things that they're speaking. Wow. Now, these traders who sell and who manufacture these things are looking out for such people. So, you hear the custom tell you, oh, we just discovered the importation of... Come on, people are behind these businesses. You know, so, but why Nigeria? Why Congo? Why Mali and all that? And you look at these countries in Africa where these things are going on. They are the countries that are endowed with abundant natural resources. It's the interest and the attraction to foreigners. And the only way they can get access to these things is to destabilize our country. Unfortunately, they will always find our local noisemakers, troublemakers, political troublemakers, entrepreneurs who specialize in conflicts and all that. So that's why you hear some of all these. Somebody will just get up, and a non-native will just get up and is declaring a republic within the country and all that. He knows what he's doing. And there are people who are watching. So the arms will continue to come in as far as you have unpatriotic individuals who do not see the things that hold us together. Do you understand? If I have a relationship with Auntie Alero, there will always be conflict. Is that why somebody should be inviting an outsider? We had so many here. There are conflicts everywhere. But the unique thing about Africa is that if you go to Sudan, you go to Chad, you come to Nigeria, the natural resources continues to be an attraction. Our wood, our cassava, our maize, our oil, our gas.
I'm hearing this term for the first time, I gotta be honest.
Which term is that?
Conflict merchants.
Or you call them entrepreneurs.
Well, you know, you may need to expatiate a little on that because, okay, I think it was in the course of this week that we heard that video making the rounds of a Nigerian in Nigeria who said he must have sold nothing less than 450, arms and ammunition in the country, and is selling them for some figures that he makes very, very paltry slice of profit on. So these conflicts merchants, are they unknown to our intelligence community?
I don't know about that. But for instance, me, I know at least one in my life. You know, there's what we call quotidian activity. That means that every morning you get up, you must be involved in one economic activity or not. I think that I've sent message to my friends who are close to seat of government. I've written articles. I've posted so many things on social media. One way of identifying these people is watch what they do. What work do you do? You live in this big house. What is your contribution in the community where you live? Is it conflict? It's very easy. That is why the neighborhood watch. Well, that's why the kind of policing that we had in Lagos, I guess we still have it, where you have a neighborhood policing and all that.
Because that's what he is talking about, the neighborhood watch.
Well, that's neighborhood watch. But the kind of policing that we have is that I have enjoyed in the last 20, 25, 30 years, that I can go to the shopping mall and I see a police officer and I'm calling him, Kisley, what are you doing here? He's just greet me and pass. And I know why he's there. He's just there to make sure that there is orderliness and there is peace. That's kind of policing that I'm used to in Lagos. To buttress the point that he was making, you know, not long ago, where I live, in the middle of the night, 1 a.m., there was commotion around the place. I didn't know what it was. I just picked up my phone. I made a phone call to Rapid. I didn't even know the phone call. Well, I made a 112 phone call or whatever.
Yeah.
And he told me they will get back to you. Somebody, Rapid Response or somebody will get. And they did. And they did. They didn't get back to me, but they went to deal with the situation. 2 days later, they came to that place to pick up all the guys who were involved in that commotion. But you know what? The surveillance was powerful because it took 2 days. And they just came and mixed up with the people and all that. That's what I'm used to. But I don't think that our federal government have paid more attention to our political elites, who are the major instigators.
So how does that make you feel? Because we've heard this over and over again, as high level as governors saying that they know the perpetrators of all these things.
It makes me feel saddened. You and I, we are not safe. Get to understand that. Because if what happened in Aso Rock, if it's true, it's just a pointer. But you see, it is what you sow that you will reap. It's a natural law. Like I said to you before, all these things that are happening now, this government in power, all of them, all the things they said before is coming back, and other people are saying it to them. They are now quiet. That is number one. Number two, the kind of leadership that we have here is something that can make you cry. I give you an example. Not long ago here, we had 9/11. After that incident, other nations have learned. Do you know that Condoleezza Rice, who was a powerful woman at that time, politically speaking, even wrote a book on international security? All you need to do is just buy one of those books and read it, or go to the internet and read that book. There are so many materials. How did South Africa manage? They had issues with insecurity at the epic between when they got in, when the ANC came to power, a few years down the line. They've been able to deal with it to a certain level. Look, here, people are just paying attention to themselves. Do you know how long it's taking the Southern governors to meet? I can't remember the last time they met. This for me, like I said, is a laudable step in the right direction. It's bold enough for me and all that. But what next? Because the information you need to protect your people, apart from Wike, who have had opportunity of, I don't really like his, he's not my friend. I'm not. But when it comes to adding a strong voice to a matter, you know that he has done so. That's what the people need at local level. Protecting us from people like Ned Nwoko, we have not enjoyed that.
God.
Look, if Chukwu Ifejoku is in prison, he went to court, they had a court process. They left the court, he was picked up. As I'm talking to you, he's in detention in Asaba. Police station. His wife and his children, they are crying. I went to Asaba too. By the way, I came back from Asaba on Friday. I went to see him. I couldn't even see him because the wife advised me against it. So what I'm saying is that the leadership that you need should be able to learn. If you get out over the ignorance or the laziness of finding out what is going on in other spheres and doing it here, will be safer.
Okay, Kazim, Festus Akimboyewa says, how can states create, this is referring to your comment earlier, how can states create jobs if they're not controlling their resources? I know that if my state, Ondo State, is allowed to mine our bitumen, nobody will be jobless.
Is there only bitumen that we have as natural resources in Ondo? Cocoa is there.
Okay, same with every. I think he just used Ondo as an example.
That's why it does not.
Every state has something, but they're not allowed to control what they have.
No, because that is one of the challenges of our constitution, ordinarily. But there are some issues under exclusive lists. There are some other concurrent lists that you can do together. People always use one as an example. I say bitumen is what can make the whole of Ondo State. That's not true. There are other areas in which you can also tap into, and you showcase that people will see that, yeah, sure, this is what you can do. Much more better than what is, everybody, I know, claim to be the star, resources. It's very important we get that one right. Now, a very good example in Lagos, all the Southwest governors. Southwest, what is stopping them from negotiating the rail line that cut across Lagos probably to Oshogbo or, let's say to Ikirun, that you are going to transport people? That's exactly what they are talking about, of the devolution of powers. In the UK, what they have done is to divest also key aspect of the economy. So Odua Group is there. They have a foresight there. Our leaders, they form Odua Group of companies. So we need to ask questions. What are the areas of economic interest that Odua Group has gone into? The Southwest goes to ask questions. How do we empower Odua Group to create jobs all across? Those are the issues. They are into real estate. They are also into so many other things, like the agriculture and the rest. Hotels. So what has happened to all that? To me, that should be their concern. If they can show example of how to galvanize economic activity towards that end, everybody will be applauded. There was always a rat race in those days when we were in regions. Cocoa House, then you see North also looking at how do I have NDDC, what do you call it, property. In East, how do I also compete with West and the North? But now everybody seems to have mellowed down because there's cheap money. In Abuja.
But there's something...
Yeah, but I beg your pardon. Kazim, but we have been told that that purse in Abuja is going to dry up very soon.
Absolutely.
So do you see any effort by these governors to prepare themselves for that day so that they're able to stand on their own 2 feet?
You know, the reality will be done on everyone, isn't it? Either you prepare or you do not prepare. The reality will be done on you. So, but the best for you is to get well prepared for the realities on ground. That's why I put an example of what we have in the Southwest that can make us together. So if they can exploit that, that will be fine. But if they are still also waiting to collect money at the end of the month in Abuja and then add it to the little IGR that they have, and once they can pay salaries and do 1 or 2 rules, they think that is the end of the show. That isn't. That is why our role as journalists is to interrogate, is to make them accountable for all those things. So we should be asking questions. What happened to cocoa industry in Ideology? I mean, we should be interested. So the cocoa house, or the hotels, I mean, what do you call it? All these hotels that under Odua, what is it? What is the turnout? So you governors give us the status. You want to know. So are there projects that you also want to engage in? What are we getting from that? Why are we not asking questions? See that Fashola Farms should come back. We should be asking your state governor.
Fashola Farms is one.
Yes.
In the course of the week, we had conversation with the Ondo State governor.
Yes.
Festus Akinbere was governor, by the way, who says, when I put this question of, what happened to Fashola Farms and so many other farms, because in the north, in the, early years of Nigeria's, nationhood, something in the region of 410 ranches were there in the north. All of them, what happened to them? How come we now began to have this? So when I put that question to the governor of Ondo State, his response was they were abandoned. So
why don't you revive it?
What do we need to do to get back into that? Because if you look at as far back as October last year, the Minister of Agriculture said Nigeria's livestock industry is worth 30 trillion naira. What do we need to do?
What you need to do is that you need your oil to dry up first.
Teach you a lesson?
Yeah, adversity. You need. Shabi, we are complaining now. I wanted to tell you.
Jesus.
I wanted to.
Can you be nice?
No, but I'm being nice. I'm telling you the truth. Oh, you don't like truth? We're all like that. But the adversity you face has the greatest potential of bringing you to a place of reality. That's the truth of life. This oil needs to dry up so you can stop with this budgeting process that you do this annual ritual of budgeting every year. But the question really is that every time you talk to a Nigerian, government creates job, government creates job. Which government creates job anywhere? In the world that we live in today, on daily basis, as we sit down here, information and knowledge is being released into our world. It's only people in developed countries that are constantly receiving some of this information and putting into books. Meanwhile, we don't read them. Let me tell you what's going on as we speak here. And it's been going on for a while. You used one of the words while you were asking me a question before. It has to do with creativity. You talked about create. You used the word create. In an economy that must survive, you have to create. The next thing that is going on all over the world is not something that is hidden. It's innovation. By the way, I traveled along to Delta. Along the road, I saw a massive edifice where they wrote innovation and something. It's innovation. There are cities and countries in this world today. They are doing very well based on creativity, innovation, enterprise, hospitality. tourism, if you will. That is what is sustaining them.
Singapore has nothing.
That is what is sustaining. So Nigeria here, a youth will tell you, no job. And I ask, go to Kenry, all those things you are buying there, they are created somewhere in China. Can't you create something here? You are talking about leather. We just can't create. Unfortunately, you have leadership that is collecting money because they are budgeting and sharing FAC. So they are not into creating. You can create. I see some of my neighbors now, young people, they are creating shoes now and all that. And that is what government was supposed to have done. By bringing the machines in numbers so they can go and grind, bring machines that can make buttonholes. I saw a young man who makes very nice clothes. He made a jacket for me.
What happened to our textile industries?
Your oil killed it because the ranches that were abandoned in 1973, before 1973 boom, oil was selling for $2. But the dodgy era just happened shortly after oil went from $2 to $11. You've forgotten the war that happened that led to Saudi Arabia discovering oil and oil price going up. Go back and check it out. It was the major, because me and you lived here before the advent of oil. You've forgotten? We farmed, we groundnuts in the north, cocoa, fishing in south and all that, cocoa in the whatever. These things have been about. So your adversity must bring you to a present or a future reality. Except you listen to what I'm saying to you, that if you go to our Kenry, look, how did China come back? In 1930, they were suffering, they were sleeping in the street corners. You've forgotten? They woke up one day and said, you know what we need to do? Everybody go back into your room and start creating something. That's how we have a Christmas tree, Christmas light, everybody, bicycles spoke and all that. They said they're creating small things. Today, after how many years? They've emerged, after 70 years, they have emerged a great economic power. Our youths are not listening, and I don't blame them because the leadership is not showing a good enough example.
Well, I think that's a good place to anchor it for today. Of course, this is an ongoing conversation. You can never finish talking about the state of the polity, but I'd like to just say thank you very much to Dr. Kwazim Akinreti, former chairman of NUJ and Deputy Director, Digital Media, Voice of Nigeria, as well as Mr. Chuks Nwoko, Public Affairs Commentator. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for coming to share your insights with us on this topic and giving us a very animated and interesting discussion. So Sunrise will be back with another interesting conversation in just a moment. Do stay with us.